The government has denied it is engaging in negotiations with Argentina to lift a weapons ban that has been in place since the Falklands War.
This comes after the Argentinian President Javier Milei told The Telegraph that negotiations with Britain were underway to lift weapons export restrictions.
And Mr Milei also said he wanted to see the Falklands handed to Argentina via diplomatic means and wouldn't seek conflict with Britain.
Joining us now is GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. So the Falklands has never been really away from the news. It's one of those things, you know, anybody who remembers the Falklands War, or Las Malvinas as the Argentinians call it, will recall that, you know, it's such a long way away from Britain. It's right down near the bottom of South America and, let's be fair, much closer to Argentina. But after the Falklands War, when, of course, Argentina invaded, then Britain said, right, OK, nothing is going towards you with any component that is British.
No, absolutely right. I remember at the time myself that, you know, most people had no idea where the Falklands where they believed actually it was, you know, an island chain in the Outer Hebrides.
I know.
But then afterwards, everybody knew where the Falklands were. Everybody shared in that patriotic fervour to try to ensure that the islands were protected from any further Argentinian aggression, and that has been the case with the British government ever since, keeping a significant deployment of troops there, both Army, Navy and indeed Air Force. The Mount Pleasant Air Base, we have 4 Typhoon combat jets that are there for continued 24/7 patrol and fast reaction should there be an intrusion. There is a ship that's stationed there, an offshore patrol vessel, and then you have troops that are there as well. But you're looking at these images of Javier Milei, the Argentinian president, inspecting what is the first of up to 24 F-16 combat jets being delivered for his Air Force, because really up until now, the Argentinian Air Force has been nothing to speak of at all. They really haven't had one in terms of any effective combat capability. But they've been trying for some time. Now this new president, with his relations in particular with Donald Trump, has been able to secure the purchase of F-16s from Denmark. The first 6 arrived just earlier this week, as we're seeing here. And what Javier Milei wants as well is for that wider arms embargo that Britain has imposed on component parts that could be British, going into any technology, finding its way down to Argentina and enhancing its military capability. Since the Falklands War, Britain has absolutely been steadfast in not allowing either direct weaponry or component parts to be bought up by the Argentinians. Could that change? Well, the Argentinian president certainly thinks so, but the British government is denying it.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
OK, Mark White, thank you very much for the update. Right, let's go speak now to the former Rear Admiral Chris Parry, who I think may have fired the first shots of the Falklands War with those depth charges that you dropped on an Argentinian submarine. Chris, am I right in that recollection? And if so, what are your thoughts on a rearmed Argentina?
Yes, you're absolutely right. That was at South Georgia on the 25th of April, 1982. My thoughts about this are President Milei is heading a modern democracy. He's very much a friend of President Trump. President Trump sees him as a vital ally in South America to deal with Chinese and Russian influence. And basically, given the fact that he's a libertarian, he's a friend of what I call the free world, people don't see why Argentina shouldn't rearm and protect its borders. Now, the issue I have is that President Milei, although he says, of course, that he wants to achieve the islands by diplomatic means, we've got no guarantee, of course, that President Milei will stay in power. So you could get a regime in Argentina, and Argentina's pretty volatile, that could end up quite well armed and have very different expectations about the Falklands. By the way, Penny, proximity isn't legitimacy. The fact that it's near to Argentina isn't really important, given the fact that the people in the Falklands want to remain British. If we had that argument, the Channel Islands should belong to France. So
I was merely pointing out that actually, I remember at the time in 1982, just as Mark was saying, actually, that an awful lot of people thought the Falkland Islands sounded like somewhere off the coast of Scotland, and it was only after the war started in 82 that people realised quite how far away it was. Does make it a lot more difficult to defend, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course it does, yeah. And, you know, your correspondent outlined what we've got down there. What he didn't mention is it critically depends on us being able to resupply and reinforce what's down there in the event of attack. And I'm by no means certain that we're capable of doing that with the current state of our armed forces. We certainly couldn't retake the Falklands if Argentina decided to move against it one day.
It would require a lot of flights via Ascension Island, and it would require a fleet to once again make that lengthy journey, as was the case in 1982. And of course, one of the concerns we've heard, Chris Parry, is that Javier Milei may say he's keen on diplomatic efforts, which we will obviously reject. We're not keen on giving up the Falklands. They're ours, and those are the wishes of the islanders. But Javier Milei will not be the president forever. It's who comes after him with this rearmament that's going to be sparking a lot of the concern, isn't it?
That's exactly my point, yeah. You can't rely at the moment on Argentina being a perpetual sort of friendly democracy. I mean, one of the things that the war did bring about, of course, was the collapse of the fascist regime that was in power at the time and led to democracy in Argentina. But it's been very volatile ever since, and we don't know how it's going to be in the future. We hope it's going to be stable, and we want a good relationship, not least, of course, because we've got shared concern in the South Atlantic. I've mentioned Chinese and Russian influence. There's quite a lot of Chinese fishing boats in the South Atlantic. We have a Israeli-British concern that's actually drilling a huge oil field just to the north, headed by a firm called Rockhopper. So we've got quite a lot of resources tied up as well. The islands themselves, they want to be independent of influence from Argentina, but they'd like some connectivity. And I think one of the ways that Argentina will try and woo the islanders is by providing better transport, communications links, and, if you like, cultural and environmental exchanges. So you're going to see a combination of soft power being sort of combined with an increase in hard power from Argentina. And our defence planners are going to have to be very wary about what the regime looks like in terms of intentions as it builds its capabilities.
Also, bearing in mind as well that we had support from Chile when the war was happening as well, which was very much an essential part of the winning of the war.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case of my enemy's enemy is my friend. But the Chileans were fairly restrained in what they gave us because they knew that they would have to live with Argentina afterwards. They gave us a lot of intelligence support. There's quite a lot of logistic support through Chile, but it wasn't critical. The real critical partner, of course, the United States. Which provided us, with all sorts of things, including the AM-19L Sidewinder, which made the Sea Harrier such a powerful weapon. Indeed, the Argentine Air Force and Fleet Air Arm call it the Black Death. They were so concerned about that combination. That's what won the war for us.
OK, Chris Parry, former Rear Admiral, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I suppose it just goes to show, Penny, we can't guarantee who the next Argentinian president or what their future may be. All we can do is look after ourselves. And so Argentina may get more arms, but the defence of those islands, that's our responsibility and it's us to deal with.
Yeah, indeed. The time is 22 minutes past 2. Now, friends of GB News can vote in today's You Decide poll for free by scanning the QR code. And today we are asking, should Britain scrap the Falklands-era weapons ban? It's just a straightforward question, yes or no. Do let us know what you think. We'll bring you those results. Well, we'll bring them very soon.